All right, get started here. We're a few minutes late. Call this meeting of the Jamestown City Council to order. Please call the roll.
Councilman Sheldon?
Here.
Brackman?
Here.
Garuba?
Here.
Reynolds?
Here.
Faulkner?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
DeGrosa?
Here.
Eklund?
Here.
Dole.
I'm still surprised.
I know. Did he say that? I missed it.
Sorry.
I didn't say
He
that.
said here instead of present.
Oh, I was like, what did I
I am president.
I'm so shut off to it that I just didn't.
I'm here as well.
do? Dole.
Present. Somebody's got to say it.
That's so funny.
All right, so at this, we do have a couple of guests here to do presentations, but I think I'm going to wait and have them go into the DPW portion of the program, as they say, right? So at this time, is there anybody from the public who would like to speak? If so, please state your name, address, and limit your remarks to 5 minutes.
Melissa Paternetti, 346 Faulkner Street. First of all, I would just like to thank everybody for coming Saturday to the dedication of the bench and the picnic table. It was a great turnout. I want to thank several people that came to the raffle and donated. Kim and Andrew helped out a lot. So it was great to see that the community coming together, and as Sarah Rafalowski had said, you know, the day before was the day that they basically said that this gentleman is now going to jail. So it was a nice day to celebrate with something positive. So from this point on, we're waiting for the construction truly to be done on Washington Street before we fix the side of the road. We're still trying to figure out how you clean it up and what we do with it. We've thought about a couple ideas of maybe putting it in a box or burying it, or something like that. The girl in the corner has had a light post donated to her, so when she gets open and ready, hopefully that will take place. So we may be able to move some flowers or something. But anyway, and then also I would like to thank Crystal for getting the code enforcement officer over to my friend's house, taking more pictures and finding more violations. This is really, I think, the stepping stone of how we start to figure out how we can stop this from happening in the city. I think it's very, very, very important for this thing that has been going on here for decades. People buying stuff and not taking care of it. One other suggestion, I know this was brought up here by Mr. Champ last week about the housing committee meeting. I think that one of my recommendations as a local citizen would be to make Jeff Russell the chairman of the public safety committee and Mr. Brett Sheldon of the housing committee, because they both can be here at 6:30 to have that half-hour meeting. Nothing against you, Ms. Gruba, but I think that an officer that is retired and knows a lot about public safety would be the perfect person for a chairman, and that really kind of is an easy solve to the solution. But I'm only me, so. But again, like I said, I'm just here to praise people, and I think that, unfortunately, Crystal and I got a little heated at the last meeting. It was nothing personal, so I would really like the public to know that Crystal and I are friends, and we do have that communication line, and we've had a conversation, that it was just business. And I appreciate you sending Bronson over there and taking care of my friend as much as you can. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Well, that was the good news, not the bad news, but not really.
Who are you?
Doug Champ, 225 Bowen Street, Jamestown, New York. And as I said last time, 45 years at the same house, which is quite a struggle in Jamestown sometimes. But anyway, what bothers me is tonight is this editorial in the Post-Journal. I went over this with the Finance Committee, and I want to know whether or not it's true. It's not true. There's a variation that the city wants to hinge themselves on, and the title, of course, is How a Little $1.1 Million Garage Grows into a 4.7 Boondoggle. Now, the media has a lot of impact on messages. And messages are either right or they're wrong. They're directed at an issue. So this is important to get this right to the community. How did we get where we're at? There's a lot of questions that could be asked. Jeff Lehman's here tonight. He also now, I guess, is the ongoing project manager. So in essence, you got DPW director and project manager for a building, which I can't judge accordingly what the purpose of all that is, but apparently it's a necessity. So I think you're going to hopefully get at the bottom of this tonight because, as I indicated in the finance committee meeting, that the buck stops at the mayor's office. That's the bottom line. You want to spend or you don't want to spend. City council is a legislative part of the process. You have the executive, which is administration. So like I said before, they don't work together, and so there's clearly one understanding the other and what the process is. We got problems down the road of accountability. So now is accountability time. Is that article correct? Is that article wrong? I think it's up to the people here to explain that to the community, because it's out there. The other thing, just tonight I learned that you're gonna do a lighting project, and the lighting project underneath the viaduct, I'm sure is a warranted one and a good one. But there are other ideas and other approaches that can be done. For instance, I advocated that a micro turbine be put in the water at the bridge to spin off the potential small kilowatts that are needed to do the lighting there. In addition, your cost is based on, let's say you have 100 lineal feet of electrical cost. That comes into the mathematics of cost of $1,500 a lineal foot. Can you imagine a house you could build for $1,500 a square foot? So my point is this, is that accountability works everywhere. In a lighting project, and that project will then go on to the lighting costs associated with the city, which ultimately the taxpayers pay for. I'm not doubting the need of the project, don't get me wrong. It's just that when I see things like that, I look at them a little differently in terms of linear cost or square footage cost. Did the garage ever have a square footage cost attached to it? We can talk about COVID, we can talk about supply chain, we can do all these things to cushion the effect. But nevertheless, you can't cushion the effect of dollars. You have them or you don't. So is this article in the Post-Journal correct or wrong? That is for you to decide and for you to talk about tonight. I hope that we leave here with a quick understanding of how we got to where we're at and what's the in cost when the occupancy takes place, the certification for that building to be occupied, what will be the final cost. And there probably should have been, with the American Rescue Plan, a reserve put aside for unknown costs associated with this building. It could have been done, so at some point when you had a contingency of well over 10%, you could have augmented that with that money. So now, if you're gonna go bond, the people ought to know what the cost of that bond escalation is based on interest and the terms in order to fully understand if you're gonna go into that direction. Because if you have another problem down the road that requires bonding, you're also gonna have to augment that bond. So, you gotta be capable of explaining the purpose behind it all. So I leave that up to you to decide where you're going with that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I
Think
think
anybody
I have
else?
30 seconds left. I would just like to take 1 second to thank this man right here for his extreme dedication to the city, his hard work and dedication day in and day out. Dan Stone, you are the best Stone in the world.
He's the man.
You are. You're my favorite one.
He's the man. That's what I call him, Dan the man.
I did. I sat down and I was like, oh man,
You forgot.
I forgot
Forgot
the
the one.
most important guy in the room. Thank you all.
Anyone else here? If not, we'll move on to our committee reports. Kim, you want to start with finance?
Sure. I was able to find that email, Mayor, we referenced in the meeting. It was in my spam for some reason,
No.
so.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, it's not your fault, I just knew I hadn't seen it. So resolutions 1 and 2 were related to travel, and we've kind of pushed them down the road a little bit because they're not necessarily urgent, especially the one in November. Trying to iron out the available budget line item availability. I received an email from Jen last week that says there's only $1,570 remaining for the year in the mayor's budget for travel. I just looked at the expenses sent to us, estimated for the travel on resolution number 1. It is $221.48, but I noticed there's not per diem in there, so it will be more than that, obviously. Since that one is in August, me as a finance committee, I don't have an issue with that one at this point. I don't know if Marie or Tony, so we'll move that one forward. But that being said, with only 1,570, the next one is estimated without a per diem of meals and stuff, is estimated at $1,700, which is over. So I'd like to continue to move that one down next month or whatever to talk about.
We'll bring it back up as it gets closer. We have to register for the event.
Okay, that would be great, thank you. Resolution number 3 that is resolved that the city of Jamestown does hereby accept the Affordable Connectivity Program Outreach Grant in the amount of $150,000 and no cents from the FCC. We didn't really discuss this at finance because I didn't want the mayor to repeat himself, so he's going to brief us on that right now.
Excellent. Thank you. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, this is no longer your Janet Jackson's FCC. No one got that reference. All right, I appreciate it. Those are watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We received we applied for a grant quite some time ago with the Federal Communications Organization, and the intention of the grant was to bring out what's called the Affordable Connectivity Program. So many of you have probably heard, or maybe you've seen, a program that the federal government is doing, which would take off $30 off of your internet bill each month. And Jamestown is one of the areas the FCC has targeted as an area that actually has not taken advantage of that program. And so we were one of only a few places across New York State that were awarded that grant. So here's what the grant entails. The way we wrote it was to hire a digital equity and communications contractor for a 2-year period of the grant. That period of grant would fully fund basically a communications coordinator for the city. This would not be an employee. This would be on a contractual basis. So we would not have the same requirements as employees. And they would provide and go to the various events. They would also focus on getting individuals signed up for the Affordable Connectivity Program. And as part of it, and what we wrote into our grant, is they would also provide other communication services to the city. So they can help us continue to provide information to the public, whether that's through our emergency alerts or whether that's through general information from the city council, on top of their duties with outreach for the Affordable Connectivity Program. It's a 2-year grant. The total amount under the grant is $150,000. Again, this would be a contractual basis. So we would advertise for it, hire someone as an independent contractor, and they would be doing this role for about 2 years. Let's see if there's any questions.
How much of that is going towards, of the 150 is going towards the salary? Is it?
I believe
thought I saw 120.
we originally did a slightly larger grant for 190, and the FCC came back and actually only awarded us 150.
That's what I heard.
137,857 is contractual. 5,000 is for supplies, and 7,000 is for other, for a total of 150,000.
And that's for 2 years.
That would be for a 2-year period, yes. That would cover starting 2023, so June 2023 to looks like June 2025.
There's nothing in the travel line. Where will they be going to meet with people?
So the travel would be covered slightly under other. There was the way the grant was written. But as a contractor, we would not be required to pay for various travel that would be built into their contractual rate. Where would they be meeting, though? We had put into the grant the various events throughout the city throughout the year, as well as working with creating a direct mail program to get people to sign up, and working with BPU and their mailers to try to encourage more signups.
Does anybody have any immediate questions? I know the entire backup of the grant was attached in your email. What I would suggest is reading through it and getting any questions to the staff before the voting session.
I do want to just let the council know that we'll probably, just for timing's sake, put out information requesting bids for contractors for this. But obviously, we don't have to accept them until you guys accept the grant. Okay.
Anybody else have any other immediate questions right with that? So falling in line with that, I had asked for the finance committee, a grant summary, from Paula, and, I looked through it quickly, there was a couple that looked like they were submitted on, that I was gonna look for more information, and maybe you can have that for us, the Main Street grant. And did we get any information on the EV charging infrastructure grant? I don't remember seeing that one either.
I believe we applied on behalf of the BPU, but we can provide that information for you.
Just,
as well.
and then
Yep.
I will email Paula and ask her to email this to everybody so they can get an update as well.
There were 2 EV structure grants. One we did not win.
This one's in progress, that's the one
Yep.
I'm asking about.
Yep. So we had applied for an EV charger grant through the BPU with New York State. We did not win that grant, and the response we received was we did not sign the form that says we will not contract with the Russians. Kid you not. Apparently, many municipalities didn't sign the form because they didn't have a contractor lined up yet to do the work to build the chargers. So we were denied the grant. We then have submitted that same grant to the federal government, which has a much larger EV charger program going on right now. But we will send that information over.
Yeah, that one is on the denied list.
Yep.
I can see that, okay. Okay, moving on to, resolution number 4. The mayor is authorized to enter into an agreement with SHI International Corporation of Somerset, New Jersey, and BECC Electric of Fredonia for the purpose of purchasing and installing network expansion equipment for a total of $12,140 and no cents from contingency, subject to the approval of the corporation council as to form. I know all of you have heard from Mark at budget time how much he needs these network pieces, and the way City Hall is laid out now, this will just enable us to put in more network racks on the 3rd and 4th floor, I believe. So that was approved through finance. Resolution 5 is tied to that, and that is just moving the money out of contingency and into equipment line. And that was approved. Resolution number 6 is, as we discussed last week, the selling of a piece of city property to JMI on Lafayette Street in the amount of $4,000. That was approved. Resolution number 7 is to, effective immediately until further notice, the hiring freeze be lifted for 1 part-time senior account clerk in the treasurer's office. City clerk treasurer, excuse me. That is, Debbie Patty is retiring, and that is to fill that position, which is part of the budget. And I say for real this time, as the mayor said, and that was approved through finance. Resolution number 8 is that the controller is hereby authorized to make the following amendment to the 2023 general fund budget for the replacement fencing as follows: to increase equipment for the Parks Department and decrease contingency for a total of $6,040 and no cents, and this is for the Johnson Street Playground, and that was approved. Informational report, Crystal is first, and that pertains to the North Main Street Viaduct project discussion.
Thank you. So, we submitted this, I submitted this On behalf of myself, Chief Jackson, and Dave Leathers, we met last week. This is a project that's been floating around for a number of years. Jeff is very familiar with it, viaduct. The number one priority with this project is public safety, lighting up the North Main Street viaduct area. We had some estimates put together over the last couple of years, and we're at a point now where I think we're all in agreement that public safety is paramount. There's an overall project, so I did send a pretty substantial packet of information. None of the images that you see are anything that is set in stone. There was a lot of conceptual stuff. What the overall project budget would be is up to $150,000. The reason we say that is because when we had it estimated a year ago, or a little over a year ago, we had about $100,000 to work with. Some changes have been made. We found that we don't have conduit in the railroad bridge that we thought we had, so we anticipate the cost of lighting will increase. We don't know what that's going to be yet. We're in the process of trying to get updated estimates, but I wanted to bring this to you. So in the event we can get those estimates in the next week, that we may be able to present this to you next week. The lighting, obviously, we're considering kind of the phase one. So, you know, in looking, I know ARPA funding is growing thin. So looking at prioritization, obviously we would love to have the whole project funded, but really priority is getting that area lit under the viaduct area. And so, you know, initially it was estimated around 32,000, a little bit more than that. I would expect it could go up to 50, maybe more, maybe a little less, but somewhere in that ballpark. So just to give you some of the kind of background information on that, and we'll get you the updated estimates as soon as we have them. So if you want to add anything, Tim?
I think that covers it.
Okay.
So that leaf and stone quote that's part of that package is out.
Outdated.
Yep, it's outdated. Yeah. So, and with that total estimate would include design. So, you know, as I mentioned in here, these are just concepts. There's no design set in stone at this point. If we were to fund the whole project, design would be included in that, and we'll get an updated estimate on that based on what funding is approved. Really, the biggest thing is getting that updated lighting estimate to move forward. Okay.
Anybody else? So one thing I forgot to mention in the resolution for the selling of the property is that there will be a public hearing at 6:15 on Monday, June 26th. So our voting session regarding the sale of that property.
Ooh, there's a couple public hearings.
Yeah, that's why this one's 6:15.
I was gonna ask.
Brace yourselves, bring some water.
That's why that one is at 6:15.
Okay.
And then in relation to this project, I had asked for an updated ARPA financial tracking update. At this point in time, it still remains 1.7, roughly 1.8 that is really designated or allocated. I'm a little concerned about the total spent because it's saying we've only spent 5 million, and I know that's highly inaccurate. So I don't know what it's gonna take to get that column updated, but it would be nice to see if we've really expended, you know, on some of these line items under that we could shift to some of these things such as this lighting and other projects.
Jen has been working with Joe to update that.
Okay.
Some of the larger items just haven't been pulled and pushed towards the general fund. So in some cases, we're waiting for projects to completely finalize before we pull them over out of the rescue plan funds. But we're working on an updated one. I know Jen was working on that today with Joe.
Okay, especially the ones that are completed, to see if we have anything left there that would shift, would
Yes.
be priority for
Yep,
me.
and we've had some conversations already about, for example, police and fire allocations and what we should pull down, when we should pull them down from the rescue plan funds.
Okay.
Some of that also relates to reporting and timing, so we're trying to figure out the best time to do that.
And did you do this, Zach?
I did, yeah.
Could you email it to
Sure.
the rest of council then? And
Absolutely.
all of us,
Should
I
give the
guess,
rest
that
of them
we
paper
have.
copies.
I left them in my office. I'll go grab them now.
Um, So, and then, we did have 2 items for new business, which unfortunately we as, finance did not get to because the mayor had an update and one need for an executive session, so I will talk about them now, but I understand they were approved through public safety. So the first one that was in your folder is, these are all related to the police department. The first one is to lift the hiring freeze to fill a clerk 2 position in the Jamestown Police Department. This is fully budgeted for 2023. The fiscal impact to hire this will cost $32,604 plus benefits. And as stated on your memo, fully funded in the 2023 budget. No issue? The second one is 2 positions, both part-time in the police department, and this is the resolution to lift the hiring freeze to fill a part-time crime analyst and a part-time gift coordinator assistant position. All paid, fully funded through the grant. I don't know, Chief, if you wanna talk about both of those, either one of them, or if anybody has any specific questions. Finance, as far as finance, I'm sure you have no issue with it.
Both positions were recommended by DCJS. Since the grant is so much larger, it's gonna take more work to keep track of all the details. So that's basically the position of the assistant.
Yep,
The crime analyst would probably be stationed at Erie County
okay.
Intelligence Center.
If I could add to that, just to add that we're very excited to see that the GIVE grant was almost triple the what we normally receive in a year, which is truly an incredible thing and would provide a lot of resources to our police department and the other entities that are part of it. It is a multidisciplinary team that works to reduce gun violence and deal with some of the root causes. So we're very excited to see that amount go up. We've been asking, I think, the state for quite a long period of time for additional support, and the fact that we have now received that as an additional grant that will impact this community in a very positive way to reduce our gun violence on the streets.
So there will also be a resolution, I'm assuming, accepting this grant?
Yes, I believe we received it today, so we'll put it in our new business. I'm not sure if Jen and her team were able to include it.
Anybody have any other questions? I know we just got it, but I'm sure the chief will welcome any if you have them. Okay, Mayor, do you wanna mention your one open item and leave the other one for executive session?
Yeah, sure. That's happy to do so. I provided an update to the Finance Committee. We had met with our auditors, Dresser and Malecki, in regards to the city audit. As you all know, Joe Bolito has been working with the city in order to square away our revenues and our expenditures for 2022. Revenues are good. Those have been squared away. We have been diligently working on expenditures. We had a conference call with our auditors, and we have held off on starting the auditing process in order for Joe to make sure that we are ready to go. So in that discussion, he's met with the auditors. He'd like to kind of wait a bit to make sure that he's got everything squared away. In the same vein, our auditor said, hey, we've got some staffing and scheduling issues as well. So in that discussion, there's been some further discussion on holding off on the audit or delaying the audit. We will still get it this year, but it may be a little bit later than what we normally look at in terms of receiving that information. But we've all agreed we want to make sure that it's right and that we don't have to go back in and take a look at the numbers, and the auditors want to make sure that the numbers are accurate and reflective. So we have been going back and forth with information and documents. However, they have not physically come in to do the testing portion of the audit yet. So I just wanted to let the Finance Committee as well as the Council know that we may be delayed when we would normally get your audit report.
penalties or other fees associated with that, so I was glad to hear that as well.
Thank you. Move on to housing, Marie.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a much calmer housing committee meeting this week. I'm happy to report. We did have, a couple of individuals come from the community. One indicated that she realized, that working with her landlord as opposed to at odds did help create a win-win situation, was encouraging more individuals to try to do that and take advantage of programs that are available through a number of different sources. She was not aware, and I'm going to publicly announce it, there is a program housed in City Hall. It is not sponsored by the city, but there is a mediation program which will allow individuals, landlords and tenants, neighbors, a myriad of things that can be mediated. I believe the only stipulation is it has to be less than $5,000 because small claims handles anything above that. And it is a great way to come to an agreement when people are having issues, even can mediate family issues within a family. So to let people know, Child and Family Services runs the program, but it's a Center for Resolution and Justice program. So to get that information out. She also brought up, at one point, there was a committee involving landlords, community members, city council members, dealing with rental inspections, and wondered where that was going. We were informed by Director of Development Crystal Cervic that she will be bringing some ordinances to the Housing Committee in July to be reviewed. So that is moving along. She also indicated that people have questions. Again, there's a great handout from the Department of Development on code enforcement, which explains the whole process. People wonder why it takes so long. If you look at this, you'll understand why. And did indicate that property owners and tenants are both cited and they're brought to court together because trying to do one or the other does not usually resolve the problem. The Hands-On Neighborhood had the first project this summer on May 20th, but that was rained out. They will be doing a few different neighborhoods, but the dates haven't been announced yet. The question was asked why, the city can't hire individuals to go in with all the cleanup companies, and the director, Crystal, pointed out that we'd have to get a court order to go onto anyone's property, and the only time they do that is for safety and health violations, and obviously it costs the city and the city taxpayers when you do that. There will be amnesty days again, bulk items, including electronics and tires, but you would have to bring them to the location. They will not be going to your home to pick them up. There will be an opportunity for that, but that date has also not been determined yet. The other issue that was brought up is changing basically the Department of Development to Housing and Community Development, and looking at how we can, where are we going, what are we doing, how we can get more involved with sales of properties to make sure that they are brought up to code when people are purchasing them and then converting them to rental properties, as opposed to buying them to live in them. And it did indicate that some inspections are done with the certificate of occupancy, so more to come with the proposed ordinance changes. So I don't know any more than that about it, but there were no other concerns. We were going to have a discussion on livestock, as it was brought up, small livestock. A resident had raised the question, and this was actually in reference to chickens. However, they did not come to the meeting, and the rest of the meeting was taken up by everything else. So if anyone would like to discuss it at a future meeting, we will hold that open to address it. But communities like Hamburg, Rochester, Buffalo, New York City are actually providing ordinances now because people are looking at them to actually use them for eggs, for their own use, or for pets. And so whether or not we want to address it, I guess some of the communities, and I have a lot of information about it, felt better to regulate it than to let it go on unregulated. So it may be out there and you don't know it, or it may be out there when your neighbors complain about it. I can't tell you any more than that.
But at
But-
this point in time, chickens are illegal in the city of
Right,
Jamestown.
no doubt about it, no doubt about it, but the question was raised, can we change something to make it different? So, that's all I have, no resolutions, always interesting, what's that?
I have one item that we didn't get to in the meeting, but I just wanted to let everyone know. It was in the paper today, it'll be in, tomorrow and, tomorrow's Tuesday, Wednesday. The home repair mini grant, applications will be available on the 16th, and the application period will be open on the 19th of this month. Right now, we have it closing on the 30th, so I know that's a really short window, but we do anticipate that we will get a lot of applications, and it is a first come, first serve. So if we don't expend with all of those that come in that time period, we will reopen it and make sure that, of course, all funds get expended. So it's grants up to $2,500. And there are a lot of different things that it will cover, including junk and debris removal. So,
One question,
Uh-huh.
people have already received funding through any of the ARPA programs, is this
we're
totally?
not duplicating.
Not
So,
Okay,
all new applicants, yep.
okay, that's what I wanted to know, so if somebody's already received money, don't put in another application
Correct.
because you
Good
would be
question,
kicked
yeah.
out based on the fact you already received funds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those applications be available on the city website,
Yes,
starting on the 16th.
on the 16th, yep.
Can you also send the council that information of final
Yes.
information?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Is
And
there-
what we can send you, I'll send you the applications as well in a PDF so that if you
Somebody
wanna
wants
send
them.
them out to
Okay.
your constituents.
Thank you.
And the other question, is there an income limit, income guideline?
There are, it's 125% of, area median income though, and it's,
$96,125.
thank you.
96.
$96,125.
And that's for an individual. So that, it goes up from there.
For a couple or family it would go up.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, we did not discuss that, I appreciate you bringing
Yeah,
that up.
thank you.
That was actually it.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to public safety. Brent?
Thank you, Mr. President. We had two special event permits, both fireworks following Tarp Skunks games on June 30th and July 23rd. Skylighters will be doing the fireworks, and we want to make, they're familiar with the low noise type fireworks that we required since last year, but we just want to reiterate that because we do know there's a new general manager there at Tarp Skunks. Those were approved. We just had a brief discussion on the North Main Street Viaduct project, knowing that Crystal was going to present that more for the full council. We hope that the lighting, though, is vandal-proof, as there has been a lot of vandalism in that area in the past. And then, as Kim mentioned, we did have those two new resolutions for the police department, hiring the clerk 2 and the 2 part-time gift staff. Those both were approved as well. That was all we had.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to public works. And I know, Randy, there's just the one resolution, and
Right.
go through that, and then we'll let, we do have a couple presentations, one by Dan Stone and one by Jeff. So.
Yeah, the resolution that we had was passed in finance, and that was the fence around the park, which is nearly or all completed at Johnson Street Park. So that was just the fence that came around, and that was the only thing we had, and approved by us also. And other than that, it's just the building, and if Jeff wants to,
Well, let's go with Dan.
Dan? Okay.
We'll go with the fun stuff first.
Okay.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me today. The mayor asked me to come in and talk about some parks events we got going on throughout the summer, along with some city events as well. A lot of these are probably duplicates for you, as most of them have been passed as special events or block parties or something like that. I got quite the list here, so I'm just gonna run through it. Feel free to ask a question at any time. and we can go over each one, or any ones that you'd like to. First, some completed projects we did with ARPA funding that was given to the Parks Department. We did new ball field infields at Allen Park, Nordstrom Park. Number 3 at Bergman Park was completely skinned and replaced with ball field material, and both infields at Roseland Park as well. Disc golf now is an 18-hole golf course up at Bergman Park. We just need to install tee boxes at this point. We're looking at using city brick to do that, but there's quite a few of them, right? You put 3 on every hole, so it's kind of on the back burner for now. We'll get to them throughout the summer, and at least start with 1 on each hole. We just finished having the basketball courts at Bergman, Jackson Taylor, and Allen Park all sealed and painted. We're hopefully going to be done putting new rims on all of those this week too, as well, and be able to get that going. Johnson Street, we just wrapped up, as Randy was saying about the fence. We're looking at the fence. The basketball court has been poured. We're looking at sealing that, getting that painted as well, along with the swing set, benches, garbage cans, those kind of things in the park. Looking to have possible leagues and special events with disc golf late this summer, early fall, maybe some nighttime things we're talking about with glow golf, things like that, and then a citywide league as well. Some of the events that have already happened with the Parks Department involvement: turning the river green, Easter egg hunt, hands-on Jamestown, bench dedication. Thank you, Missy, for all your hard work getting that done. I think that was a great add to Dow Park that we have right across from the library. The Blue Star Mothers event on Memorial Day, along with the parade and the ceremony up at Lakeview Cemetery. Soapbox Derby was 2 weeks ago. They had their biggest turnout ever. 53 kids were involved with that. Huge success down there. And they'll be back again in the fall from September 30th to the 1st of October to run that event again. Public Market just started this past weekend along with Pride Fest, and then we had the Early Bird Festival 2 weeks before that. Upcoming events this weekend: Juneteenth, Jackson Taylor Park. Friday night there will be a band that will be playing downtown at the Winter Garden, and then Saturday opening ceremonies in the park at 11. Followed by kids' activities throughout the day, and then moving over to the Spire Theater, where we'll have entertainment going on there as well. Sunday morning back in the park for church service and a continental breakfast, along with kids' events throughout the day. Monday there will be a movie being shown in front of the Comedy Center in the evening there, which will help them set up for that as well. Things else that have also gone on is the stadium. Right now we're in full swing with the tarp stunts with a brand new sound system. If anybody's been down at the stadium, it sounds like a whole new place compared to last summer, which is great. So we've had JCC in there already, high school baseball games, Section 6 championships, old timer leagues, along with travel baseball and the Babe Ruth World Series team for this year. Allen Park Band Shell starts this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. It'll start off with the 3 middle schools playing first, followed up at 7 by the Jamestown High School Band. Then we roll into next week where we'll have Pearl City Jazz playing, started at 7 o'clock. And then the following week, the 28th, begins our run with the Municipal Band, starting at 7 o'clock for the next 7 weeks. June 30th, up at the band shell, we're going to have the Chattacoin Chamber Ensemble playing from 7 to 8:30, which is a free concert to anyone who would like to attend. Saturday, June 24th is a big event over at the skate park. It's the first big event we're having at the skate park. We'll have live bands, they'll have food trucks, they'll have different vendors, and that'll be going on all throughout the day with different skate contests and competitions and games going on as well. The Chautauqua Bell is in the McCray Point boat landing right now. I can tell you at 5 o'clock when I had to run down to Jones and Gifford tonight, there was 2 buses loaded there. I stopped and talked to Paul. He'll be there for the next couple weeks before he has to head up to the lake, and then he'll come back down and see us in the fall. Just amazing what it brings to the area. And then it brings people back even when he's not here to see what we have going on. New city entrance sign, we'll have a ribbon cutting for that here in the next couple of weeks, working on landscaping on that, finishing that up. Amnesty Days was mentioned, we're looking to nail down at least 2 dates to have that going on. Probably have it at Allen Park and at Bergman Park again this year. Probably one in the summer and then one in the fall to do kind of like a fall cleanup with that. We received a grant from the Community Foundation, thanks to Crystal, Paula, and Christian Dulce. We'll be getting new picnic tables for the stadium, hopefully within about the next month and a half. Just ordered those last week from Jamestown Advanced Products. Artscape Downtown Banner Program. Leslie Calamari from the Chautauqua Art Gallery and Frank Bessie from the JRC spearheaded this. They've got 53 different banners that will be hanging on our pole banners all through downtown, done by local artists. This Friday, they're having an opening for that at the Chautauqua Art Gallery on North Main Street at 5 o'clock. Lunar Pyros will be starting probably 2 weeks from this Wednesday at the boat landing, McCray Point, and be putting on a show roughly from 7 to probably 11 by the time it's cleaned up, 8 to 10, kind of when it gets dark. It sounds like a really neat thing to have, something unique. You all had seen the displays and everything that Matt Arnold had. Pretty excited for that one. July 15th and 16th, the Scandinavian Festival will be downtown. Sunday mornings, we have an antique car club that goes to the boat landing. They just show different cars that they have throughout the week, have coffee, donuts, come and hang out. It's really a nice thing on a nice Sunday morning to go check out. The World Series of Wheels car show, which is put on by the Babe Ruth World Series Committee, which raises funds for the World Series, will be happening Saturday, July 22nd, with a rain date of Sunday the 23rd that I hope we don't have to use.
Me too.
But please come up for that. It's always a great time. Good food, unbelievable cars, and lots of things going on that day. Christmas in July is also happening that week, starting on the 20th. We'll be having concerts and kids events down on the Riverwalk, which is nice. I'd like to see us keep promoting the Riverwalk and getting that going, so it's nice to hear about the Main Street Viaduct project come to fruition as well. They'll also be at the public market with a petting zoo with the kids, and then baseball game down at the stadium with fireworks after that. Pretty exciting couple-day lineup right there for the weekend. We also have on that Saturday Gospel Fest, which is put on by Gene Thomas down at Jackson Taylor Park. Again, that's another event that is free to the public. The Reds Renee will be having a block party on July 27th for their centennial celebration. We'll be blocking off that block out there. Pretty great to have that kind of thing going on right in our downtown. Whirligird Festival is also going on that week and weekend from July 20th to 22nd right in the downtown. July 29th, the Fenton Mansion is having their 60th anniversary gala on the grounds. Sounds like quite an event that Jane is putting together over there. There's tickets available. You can contact the Fenton or find them online. We're also working with them to install a new Blue Star Memorial Garden on the grounds. They're just finishing up the designs of that now, and then we'll help get that in. We are not doing a playground program this year for a few different reasons, but the YMCA has volunteered to step up and offer to still do the lunch program for us. So right now, we're looking at having that go on at Lillian Dixon Park, starting on June 26th, when the kids get out of school. And we'll just keep an eye on that and monitor it and see if we need that need in some other parks, and if so, the Y is willing to jump in and help us out there. The Y is also doing Riverwalk walks starting July 10th, running through August 18th, 3 days a week, and then picking back up a couple days later from August 21st till September 29th. Everyone, again, a free event. Everyone's welcome to join. Just show up and we'll have that going on. Kayla Crosby and the Jamestown Jackals are going to be putting on basketball clinics at Jackson Taylor Park from July 17th through the 31st, actually till August 4th. There'll be a couple-day break in there, but they're running a 2-week program down in the park. I've also had another group approach me that would like to do kind of like a fitness in the parks, not just a basketball clinic, but just to get the kids out doing activities. Again, at no charge to the kids. We're trying to iron out those details right now with them. The Downtown Cruising Car Show is August 11th. The Babe Ruth World Series, which is 13 to 15-year-olds this year, will be taking place August 12th through the 18th at the stadium, and also possibly some activities at Bergman Park, weather depending. 19th. That was just a typing error. I'll have to talk to my secretary.
My secretary might have told you
The Gus Macker, excuse me, Pat Smeraldo and Collaborative Children's Solutions, again, is helping us out with some other events throughout the city. That'll be happening on August 19th and 20th on Harrison Street, from Main Street to Institute Street, so we'll be shutting down that section of Harrison Street for that. It's nice to have that event back. It's always been well attended. Currently going on in the parks right now, we have Babe Ruth baseball, all the way from T-ball up to the older age group, which now we've got some teams, so they'll start playing tomorrow at Big Bergman, which is nice to see. We've got a huge increase in travel baseball in the city right now, so they're utilizing our fields as well, which is nice to see kids out playing sports and getting out in the parks. Babe Ruth girls softball, that's going on, and actually this Saturday is their day in the park at Bergman Park. So Friday night and all day Saturday, you'll have girls up there playing softball on every field in Bergman Park. Jay's soccer starts up on the 26th. That'll be happening at Rogers School, Fletcher School, and at Allen Park. Right now we have 7 fields built for them and are ready to go. Practice started a week ago. Again in the fall, we'll have midget football and youth flag football. So last year, because of some work being done at Washington School, for the north side, we constructed fields at Roseland Park for them to use. They seem to like that a lot, so we'll at least have flag football back there again. They also play games at Allen Park, and we're looking at possibly building a field for them at what used to be softball field number 1 at Bergman Park to get that utilized as well. Create more space for these younger kids to be able to play in. Lucy Fest then follows August 2nd through the 6th. The Chautauqua Lake Rowing Association is going to be doing dragon boat races at McCray Point August 12th. It's been a few years since that gone on. That's pretty cool to go down and see too. Again, free event to the public. We will be hosting adult flag football again this year, starting in September down at Jones and Gifford. This will be the 3rd year. It seems to be well liked to be able to play right in the city and to be able to use our facilities that are at that park as well. Then we're already at Labor Day, which is Sunday, September 3rd, working on lining up bands and vendors and everything for that. Again, thanks to Pat Smeraldo and Collaborative Children's Solutions for helping us out there. September 9th, we'll start Battle of the Businesses with the Y. They always come and play a big softball tournament up at Bergman Park. It got so big last year they actually had to use Jones and Gifford too, so that's nice to see. September 16th, the Chautauqua Humane Society will be in Panzarella Park for their Paws Walk. Thanks to Brian Papalea for reaching out to us and wanting to be able to have something in one of our parks here in the city. Anticipating a lot of work this fall on the Riverwalk, mostly on the north side, which you've heard myself and Twan Leanders talk about. It'll be nice to get that dressed up like we have the south side behind the BPU. There was a group of master gardeners in there last Thursday with Twan, going through all the plantings and getting that all cleaned up. It's really coming along nice. Been working with the Sheldon Foundation, the Gebby Foundation, and the Chautauqua Region Community Foundation on getting new garbage cans for our downtown. Helped to spruce things up a little bit better there, so we're looking at putting in roughly 40 new garbage cans just in the immediate downtown area. Working with the Allen Parks Women's Club, I'm looking at doing some new landscaping in front of the band shell, get rid of the old railroad ties and barberry, get something more decorative, and still be able to keep a buffer when the kids are sliding in the wintertime. All the new flower pots and planter beds that we've been putting in downtown, all the new pots that we end up taking back in the winter are already installed and filled. We are building 3 or 4 more new flower beds throughout the city. You might have seen some of them like at the boat landing, at the bike trail where we have raised block, Veterans Park. That's something we started a few years ago. We're going to continue with that, along with new signage in the parks as well. I think underneath the stadium right now, we've got 8 signs, just waiting for time to get those installed. Johnson Street Playground, I had already mentioned, we'll be looking at putting that swing set, benches, everything in. Willard Street Playground, we're just waiting for the equipment for that. We've ripped out all the old equipment, so we can go in and start the installation there. Nordstrom Park, the 24th of this month at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll be doing a community build to finish that off. The guys have been over there working on getting site graded, getting everything ready. We'll have architects come in the week before, the week of the build, help us through that, and then come on out on that Saturday and help us build a new playground. Looking again to have the Halloween Riverwalk Trail, October 28th on the Riverwalk. I think last year was a huge success with that, and I'd like to keep that going. Then we're already at Christmas, right? We got the Christmas parade on December 2nd, along with a Christmas bazaar that we're working on. And then we have other miscellaneous block parties, walks, softball tournaments, throughout the different parks, neighborhood, river walks, graduation parties, picnics, pavilion rentals. And then we'll continue on with ball field repair, trimming trees, tree planting, landscaping, stump grinding, everything we do on a normal daily basis. I've had a few church groups reach out, wanting to provide free concerts as well. The band shell's a great place, and it was built for that. But again, we're looking at the Riverwalk. I think again to showcase that and to get more people down there and aware of what we have. We have the electric already down there, and we have areas for them to be able to use. So looking at that going on as well. Looking to undertake a tree plant project this fall in conjunction with the Community Foundation and RTPI, along with JRC and their grant block neighborhoods. So pretty excited about that one to happen. Then we'll be looking at Roseland Park and pickleball courts, Brent, so we haven't forgot about it yet. Try to get that going on. We'll see how much time the season allows. And then we'll look at updating the city website and Facebook pages with all this info.
Big list.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dan, one question.
Sure.
City rec this year?
City Rec, yep, it's
Okay.
going on right now. That's what we're hoping is gonna be our big help on the 24th for that community build, right? A bunch of little kids throwing around some sawdust. So,
Did you utilize any of that scholarship money yet?
we haven't really had to,
Okay.
no. It's been great. We were able to, we probably had enough kids if we had more time to have more teams in the league. But right now we're running with 4, and they're playing almost every day. So it was nice to be able to get that field redone for them, and it's being used every day.
Status of splash pads.
Right now, we are waiting on prices to come back for the Allen Park splash pad. Parkitex is getting us new pricing on that before we place our order. And we're still waiting to have an engineer come in and do the soil testing at Jackson Taylor Park.
Just to let you know, Jeff, it's 12 weeks delay on the soil testing. There's so many they're doing. So we're still waiting to finalize that contract, and hopefully we'll find a time slot to get that done for Jackson Taylor.
Is that someone local that's doing that?
I believe out of Buffalo. We've used them before.
Thanks, Dan. It's an exhausting list,
Mm-hmm.
in a good way exhausting list.
There's
Anyone who
a
says-
lot of events and things going on in the city.
Anyone who says there's nothing to do here is not,
Yeah,
not
it
paying
just
attention.
isn't looking, because there's something for everybody.
For all ages and.
Yep.
And then update on one of Dan's updates that Dan doesn't even know yet. So, like you mentioned, the Bergman disc golf course got upgraded to 18 holes. They did a great job with it. It happened sometime last month, I don't know the exact date, but since that went in, I got the May update, since I'm the course ambassador on the app. Only about 25% of the people that play use the app, so these numbers are like significantly lower than what they really are, but 145 rounds were played. 40 different people played. 470 hours were spent on the course. 17 people visited the course for the first time. 8 people came from 30 miles away or more, 4 from 150 miles, and 2 people came from over 300 miles away and played disc golf. So, not saying it's drawing the people in, but they're playing over here from out of town. So.
They're there before we get there in the mornings, and I had to lock up parks this weekend, and those were the people I had to kick out of the park. So, I told them they could stay and play, the car just had to be on the other side of the gate. So, yeah, it's been great. We see license plates from all over the place. It's fantastic.
I think the app said 6 different states, just since the new baskets went in, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that's the good news. Jeff?
That's a hard act to
Follow
follow.
that.
Dan is a magician, I don't know how he gets it all done. That's how excited I was when I got the call Tuesday that from Mark that the mayor wanted me here tonight. Good to be back.
Came out of retirement, dressed up. Look at that.
Dressed up. Couldn't even find my belt when I was out of town. It's been a long time. This is just a quick update, I guess, to tell you where we're at with the building. Look real quick. The first page is just a little recap of the history of how we awarded the different contracts. But if you go to the second page, the color page, I'll go over the original budget. I didn't read the Post-Journal article, so I'm not really sure what was there, but those numbers seem a little askew. We started the project 3.5 years ago. That's how long it's been. The original estimate for the building, the structure itself, was $4 million. I'm looking at everything on the left-hand side, the blue side. We had a state grant for $1 million, and we were anticipating a $500,000 NYSERDA grant if we made the building all electrical, which we knew was going to cost us more, but that was what the state was looking for. So we awarded the architect's contract at $150,000. We acquired the property at approximately $400,000. If you recall, we ordered the building package alone because of the availability during COVID, because COVID hit right at the same time, for $232,300. So we ordered that, and then we got that in the fall the following year. At which point we awarded 4 contracts, the building construction contract for roughly $2.5 million, plumbing for $369,504, mechanical for $889,000, and electrical for $744,000. Throw in the $20,000 for soil borings, asbestos removal, that kind of thing, and $30,000 for construction monitoring, which is basically the testing, soil testing, concrete testing, steel testing. You're at 5.3. Okay, so that's where we were. Now we knew we were, if you recall, we were going to try to pull that back into budget because we did not get the NYSERDA grant. So we decided to go back to gas where we originally were with the building, which saved us $242,000 some change on the mechanical, and sadly only $47,741 on the electrical. And that was essentially, they came back and said that because of delays in the orders, they weren't able to recoup the money. As you recall, when these bids came in, the price of everything during COVID was up 20 to 30%. We discussed that at the time, availability of product and that kind of thing. So obviously our prices were going to be up from the $4 million. I also attached a bunch of pictures. The building essentially, and I brought Chris tonight because Chris has been the guy day to day who's done a yeoman's job of policing on this. Building's probably 90% complete, would you say, Chris, or maybe a little bit more, except for the electrical package. We still have a slew of materials that are on back order. We're not anticipating seeing them till October,
October
is
16th.
kind of what we've heard last.
Well, October 16th is when Square D said that they would ship.
Right.
So,
Late
figure a week,
fall.
2 weeks of break.
The building is up and running, we're using the old electrical service, but we're not able to run everything that we need to. Then you see the remaining work items, there's fencing and some landscaping. Landscaping we would do in-house, drainage, we do in-house, parking lot repairs, that's just kind of a lump sum number. We'll be doing that in-house. Put some money in for furniture and shelving, cause it's all parts shelving down there. We're trying to take as much as we can from the existing, but the building's bigger. What else? Lifts. Lifts are a big one. We pulled that out of the original contract, and so we plan on having one new lift and moving 2 of the existing lifts from 155 steel down to there. So that's 170,000. Oil storage and containment units, we blocked out 50,000 for that. Again, it's a requirement. And CO2 detection system. That's just the air monitoring in the building. Again, all safety items. And then the last one on there is a crane. The building was designed with a crane, which is a big boom crane that how would you explain it, Chris?
Basically, it like runs on a trolley system. In the addition 75 by 80, that crane would take up 2 bays. It has a 5-ton capacity. Right now, it's being what that building is designed for. If we install that crane today, obviously, we save a lot of money today installing that crane versus waiting later on down the road. Problem is, if we wait later on down the road with everything in this world, cost goes up. Not only does cost go up, but then we're looking at anything that a contractor happens to install prior to the crane getting installed, all that has to be moved, which comes at an additional cost. So, I mean, that 5-ton crane, the amount of safety, what it allows the guys in the shop to do and perform, instead of being out in the middle of a parking lot with an excavator picking a dump box up to replace a dump box on one of our haul trucks, they could do it with a crane inside the shop. You're eliminating a lot of elements, which creates a lot of safety factors for the guys, you know, in the shop that are performing the work.
So that wasn't in the original budget, but we're thinking if we're bonding, I mean, we should at least consider putting that in, because it's never gonna be cheaper, and it's all, the building's built for that crane right now. And then I got pictures of what the building is, so you can get a look at it from the inside. Questions?
So based on the numbers that you're providing us with the original budget and your current budget, to answer all the rhetoric that's been going on, it appears based on these numbers that we're over budget by $389,219. I guess to answer some of the questions that are going on, is that correct?
Right, it's not a broad
No.
spread like it's been going on.
Jeff, to your point, the 2019 Smart Cities bonds that originally looked at this was $5 million.
Okay.
2019 numbers. I just worked with a contractor to put a new deck on my house. When I got the quote in 2020 versus now, I'm crying and looking at the number, right? And so unfortunately, it's gone up tremendously, but not too far from the original 2019 estimate. And that was a new build at the time, complete new build.
As you recall, we also did a few things where we eliminated that front window package, that insulated it so that, you know, we recoup money on the back end. We did the same thing on the south side. The building's gonna be nice. We're excited about it.
When do you think the completion?
Well, again,
Approximately.
the critical item is electrical. You know, hopefully that'll be there by the end of the year. The problem is that moving at the end of the year during plowing season isn't exactly our prime time. And we'd have to figure out how we stage that so we can keep these guys working on equipment and and moving equipment, so.
Yeah, originally thought maybe the middle of the summer, but it looks like that's not gonna happen.
With electrical, it's not gonna let that happen.
Okay. As far as the numbers are concerned, there was an article in the paper and I was fed some wrong numbers on the projected and budget. But even with $1 million grant, what we were looking at is a $1.6 million shortfall. Maybe can you comment on that, or if you run the numbers on that at all? According to the figure of 577?
I guess I don't know what you're asking for, Randy. I'm
Well,
sorry.
the total cost is, 5.4 million. Yeah, and we're gonna get 1 million. Okay. And with the funding that we had available up till now, that leaves a 1.6 million shortfall, is that correct?
I think I know what you're talking about. So we have not bonded for the full $4 million yet. So just to keep that in mind, we've only bonded for what we've needed so far. So what we're asking for you all is to bond for the remainder of that $4 million, and then the additional amount that Jeff is asking for.
That $1 million state grant, has that been awarded?
It was awarded back in 2019. We've not yet received it. We've submitted. We're in the process of submitting the actual funds. The way that specific grant works is you have to expend the money first, then provide the receipts, and we're in the process of providing those receipts right now. So I think, Randy, what you're asking is, what you were saying last time was how much is left for us to bond in order to complete that total amount.
Okay, yeah, we did, we talked briefly about that. But the gas in the building could be a little cost effective down the road rather than electric. Jeff and I were talking about that before. So Jeff, do you spend much time down to the building per week, or?
Sleep there. I'm in there once or twice a week, not for the whole day, for a couple hours here and there.
Okay.
Meetings, inspections. It's kind of tailed off now because there's not a whole lot going on.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I just wondered, I'll stop down and see how things are going today.
Thank you.
We'd highly recommend for all the council members, if you'd like to go down and see it, please let us know. If you were ever in there before when it was the dealership, it looks completely different. I remember touring it when they had just started vacating, and it's really incredible now. We'll also be selling, as you all noted, a parcel in the back, and we're excited to be able to.
Plus aisle too.
It's true. Jeff did not include the additional $4,000.
So I guess what I would suggest, maybe Mayor, is sending out to this council what was in the original Smart Cities bond and what we've done, because many of these people weren't here. So I think that would help to try and understand that number, and Mark, if you could send out that spreadsheet to everybody too, I guess.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll dig out the 2019 Smart City bond from the archives, and we've been working to try to put those numbers together so that we have an accurate picture. We did not utilize all of the 2019 Smart Bond. Some of it we ended up not drawing down. So we'll go through that process and send that around to you.
So this is what it is. This is what we've got. This is
Yep.
what we need left.
And if you looked in your if you take a look in your budget book, I know that's a little outdated, but your budget book does include a section right in the front on how much has been spent or unspent on each of those bonds. But we'll get you a very detailed look of it.
And in the preparation for discussion of a new bond, it would behoove us to have the bond schedule of if anything's coming out.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
That's gonna be it, I think we covered it for now.
Okay. Again, if anybody has any further questions about this specific issue, feel free to reach out to.
And for the media, we're making copies of what Jeff had for those that would like it.
there anything else before I move on to the mayor's report? Not? You're up.
Okay. So a couple updates for the city council, and I have one executive session item. The first one is we did receive masks from the county and from the state. As you all know, we experienced quite the severe air quality degradation last week, and we anticipate that it may come back this week. A lot of it depends on the winds and where it's coming from, but we have been working with various agencies to try to get masks out. As of right now, we will have masks at the Mental Health Association as well as City Hall, and we're waiting to hear back from a couple other agencies on whether they'll be taking any additional masks. We've received approximately about 3,000 masks that are going to be made available to the public should you wish to have them. They are N95 masks or KN95 masks. And if the air quality does get significantly worse, we recommend that you all have those. I've also provided them to some of the council members. If any other council members would like a box to give your constituents or several boxes, we're happy to do that as well. So we'll give out more information once we've confirmed all the rest of the agencies. We requested those last Friday, and we're still getting a trickling of folks coming. I did, yeah.
I saw him and mentioned it.
Yep. So be on the lookout, and thank Canada. We'll also wanted to note that we'll update the bonds, the bond amounts, just so you're all aware. In order for us to do the bonding, we have to have a very specific resolution, and we have to publish it in the newspaper. We have to wait 20 days and go through a process. So we'll update with the information that you all got, and we'll update the bond schedule and provide those. We wanted to just have some initial conversations with you all first before we finalize those things. So that'll most likely be introduced next month, but may not be voted on till the end of July or August, given the timeline. Okay. And then a decision can be made at that point whether we want to use rescue plan funds or not to reduce that bond cost. I mentioned the FCC grant. The streets list has come out for those that have seen it or want to direct people to. Streets are in full force. You may have seen a lot of our crews out there, as well as some of the contracted crews that are out doing the streets. If there's anything that you notice along the way, please let us know so that we can try to work on those issues as they're doing the streets. I also want to mention Washington Street, because many of you, as well as many on social media, have pointed out issues with arrows on Washington Street. We are working through that, but we do want to remind the public that Washington Street is not fully done. So there is some additional striping and things that need to be completed for that process. We also want to remind folks that they did reduce the lanes, so slow down, which has been a big issue. As I've been going down Washington Street, I still see people driving like they used to play Mario Kart and zoom down there. We do want to encourage residents and folks to slow down. That is now also a bike lane component to it. There'll be protected bike lanes. So we do want to remind the public that traffic should be calming as part of it. I also wanted to give an update. I know, Brent, you'd asked this last time in terms of Bird. I'm sorry, I have a camera on me. We did have a conversation with Bird about where things are at in terms of the electric scooters and electric bikes. They are working to find an operator to manage the program here in the city. They believe they'll have that by the end of the month. Once that happens, then we'll confirm the various locations and drop zones across the city, and then work to provide information to the public on how to roll that program out. So we still have a little bit of ways to go. I want to make sure, as we mentioned last time, that we've got the program fully set before we roll it out, because we want this to be a success for our residents.
I looked at some of the job qualifications on that, and they said that I think the big thing was that they had to have access to a building or warehouse to store the bikes, and probably for the bikes they had to have a pickup truck so they could put them in.
Sure.
The scooters they could probably put in an SUV or something like that. So
Yeah.
that might be something that's holding people back. But they said the average age of a fleet manager is over 40 years old to do that. So and they can make up to $15,000 $1,500 per week.
Yes. Yeah, we did offer to assist Bird, but they said that they've got a few different folks that they're talking to and trying to get squared away. But more information to come. I just wanted to give you an update since you asked last time. Of course. Crystal had mentioned this, that the incentive for home improvements, our mini grant, is going to be coming out. You can get up to $2,500 with 90% of your cost being covered. And it is income limited for an individual, but Crystal will be forwarding that out to the council members, and we'll have it right on the front page of the city's website as well for people that are interested in it. Folks with questions should contact the Department of Development for that grant. And the other last item that I have, just for general updates, is that we are very excited to be able to and continue to work on some comprehensive housing reform packages, which are legislation, draft legislation, that we will be presenting to the City Council next month. I think the goal is to give you guys an overview of each of those legislation and then allow you to have further discussions with your constituents on how it could radically transform housing in the city. So we're very excited about that. I want to give a lot of credit to Crystal and her team that have been working with various groups and agencies to take a look at this. And we're excited to be able to present some first drafts to you all. I do have one item for executive session, one personnel item, with no action to be taken.
All right. We also have another item for executive session under potential litigation. Do I have a motion for executive session? So move second. All in favor? Aye. No action will be taken.
Great. And if members of the media would like